You're still on the Asaase Breakfast Show, and today we are spotlighting World Mental Health Day. And the theme this year is mental health is a universal human right. We're joined in studio by Abena Korkor. She's a mental health advocate and founder of Psychosocial Africa. Thank you for making time for us, Abena. How are you?
Always a pleasure. I'm
Good to
doing
see you.
great.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. What does this day mean to you as a mental health advocate?
Tuesday means, we also have the right to live, the right to pursue our dreams, the right to contribute to our communities. Because most of the time, mental health patients or mental health survivors are ostracized from the community, are prevented from participating in a lot of things. They see us disabled people that are not capable of living their lives to their full potential. So we commemorating this day, we educating the masses, highlighting that we can fully contribute is a big plus for me. Thank you.
And it would be very naive of me to say or pretend that you are not well known. I mean, it's public knowledge that
Yeah.
you have a condition yourself.
Yes.
I believe it's bipolar.
Yeah, bipolar disorder.
So, what exactly is bipolar? Give us some education.
So from the name, simply bipolar, by two poles. So it means there are times where I'm extremely happy, and there are times where I experience the opposite, where I'm extremely sad. When I'm extremely happy, I have high energy, high libido, I have racing thoughts, I engage in more risky behaviors. And when the opposite happens, like the world is like a dark place for me. I don't want to talk, I don't want to eat, I'm not interested in anything. And it's just bouts of depression back to back. But it's actually a spectrum, so it ranges. You're not always, you can be a combination of the two, or a very mild form of happiness, or it's not happiness, we call it mania, a very mild form of mania, or a very mild form of depression. Yes. So I encourage you to read more. The WHO has a lot of resources. When you go to the WHO website, type in bipolar disorder, you're going to read a lot more.
Wow. Now, at what point in your life did you find out?
I think I've had bipolar disorder all my life. I was a very hyperactive child. I had problems sleeping, but I was officially diagnosed in 2015. I was 25 and I was a university student at the University of Cape Coast.
Wow. Now, I mean, how has it been?
It's been a rocky ride. It's been a rocky ride. Sometimes I'm on top of my game. Other times I'm just involved in the most pettiest things, dragging people's names and like in the mad, like, calling out people for no reason. It's not that what happens is not true. It is true, but like these are private issues that must stay private. And it really like, disrupts a lot of things that I do. I sometimes I have to be off school, sometimes I have to be off work, it affects my relationships, both family, friends, romantic. It's been a rocky ride. I really I'm grateful that I have people that understand me. When it comes to like my mother, my brother, my father, some of my friends, my employers, TV, Media Journal, like, they've done so well for me. And I think they've really taken it upon themselves to know what bipolar disorder is and go the extra mile. They take care of my medical bills. I have a support system at work. So I entreat more companies to do same, because there are a lot of people out of every five Ghanaians, there's one person that may have experienced a mental health condition. And mental health is like a taboo. In the past, when somebody has a mental health condition, you do not marry from that home. So a lot of people keep quiet about this. There are ministers, there are politicians, there are men of God that have this problem, but there are clauses in most documents. Like if you have to be a politician, you have to be of sound mind, and once you've been diagnosed, they feel you no longer have a sound mind. And that's very discriminatory. I don't know any politician that I know the politicians, I know their lawyers, I know prominent families, like presidential families that have children with bipolar disorder. And because of the stigma that is surrounding it, nobody will talk about it. Nobody will highlight it. So sometimes when the NGOs come into the country, they target the underprivileged communities. But when it comes to the lit communities, there's almost no recognition or almost no support for people that have mental health challenges. Like I'm not gonna call you a university graduate. You're beautiful. You can have bipolar disorder. Like you're not allowed to be mentally ill. Whatever you do, we need that whole now. Oh yeah, do you understand? Like you can't be sick, but there are a lot of people, a lot of musicians, and it makes people abuse drugs. I have battled with drug abuse. I've done cocaine, I've smoked weed, and it's all like in the quest of trying to find stability. Because the psychotropic drugs that are given to me, like right now I'm on lithium. When I take lithium, I'm like a supersonic Mario.
Wow.
Like my mind is wired different. The neurotransmitters like are really shooting. Like I can sleep at night. So you can't sleep at night. And marijuana is like a stimulant that can help you sleep. So you tend to do marijuana, or sometimes you tend to do sleeping pills. And sleeping pills are very, very addictive. And all these happen, but nobody wants to have that conversation. A lot of musicians. I don't want to mention names, but there are a lot of musicians, a lot of
Yeah.
celebrities that have mental health problems.
So in a nutshell, it's no respect of persons.
No, 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 not at all. The rich, poor, young, old, fat, educated, uneducated, you can get mental health
Wow.
problems.
Now you mentioned that as a child,
Yeah.
you were hyperactive. Tell
Yeah.
me about your upbringing. What was your
Yeah,
childhood
my
like?
upbringing, I was born and bred in Tema. I went to St. Paul Methodist, preparatory, One Love, Crutch, St. Paul Methodist, preparatory school in GSS, Liberty Girls. Yeah. So I was like the child that always wants to be in front of the camera. When we go for parties, I'm always dancing. It's very hard for you to put me to sleep. I was very creative, very imaginative. And bipolar is sometimes like a sign of being genius. I'm still a very intelligent individual. Like, there was a time where everybody failed elective math in every girls and I had 99%. And, my GPA was like almost 4.0. It was only when I had my relapse that I went down to like 1.5. Yeah, so I was a first class student, but I couldn't graduate with a first class degree. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, evidently you did complete your tertiary
Yeah, I
education,
was even
so
a teaching assistant.
it takes
Yeah.
a lot to be
Yeah.
able to achieve
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what has your social interactions been like as a result of, having bipolar disorder? How have you managed your social interactions?
Okay, so with bipolar disorder, like for me, luckily I'm very confident. Sometimes I'm overconfident. So it doesn't affect my social interactions so much. Sometimes it does because, after I have disgraced myself publicly, I have to go out there and deal with the same people. And sometimes it's very, very traumatic for me. Because of miscommunication with one of the managers at Media General, I had a breakdown where, like, I was like, oh, I've been sacked, and it was all over the people. Even people still feel like, I don't work at Media General, and people are, cursing them out, like, why did you sack Abena Korkor, blah blah blah. But I'm still like on the payroll. I'm not actively on any radio or TV show, but I'm still on the payroll, and sometimes, Media Journal is where everything happened, and I have to go back there, deal with everybody, colleagues that have had problems. Then sometimes it's very traumatic. I remember there was one hospital that I went to. I had a very traumatic experience, and I had to go back. And sometimes there's no psychotherapy for me. There's no people around me are not patients for me to transition Because it's a lot. Like, you go through a manic episode, you do a whole lot of bullshit, and then you come. I was bedridden for a year. I was stuck in bed for a year.
Wow.
And I was doing nothing with my life. I tried committing suicide about 5 times. I took, like, a whole box of my medication like 5 times. And it was just by the grace of God. Like, God says it's not your time, or even if you have to die, this is not how I want you to die, and all of that. So it's like, it's a real challenge. It's a real challenge. But people just want to focus. And sometimes I blame, like, the bloggers. I've not really seen any blogger go like, okay, Abena Korkor has bipolar disorder, or like, and like, actually educates people on bipolar disorder. If people get the education of what bipolar disorder is, they won't be so judgmental. Probably
So you think there's a
the
need
the
for
yeah, the
more
person close to,
education?
like, someone like Kanye West. Kanye West was on his presidential campaign. All of a sudden, he flips the scripts. He's talking about Kim K's abortion. He's talking about, that is private issues. So it's like, we call something lowered inhibition. Your inhibitions, things that you normally you go like, oh no, this is uncouth, this is not proper. You don't have the power, the world power, to stop it. You just let things flow. And like, the people that I let's say I have issues with, when I have my relapses, like, sometimes, I don't feel sorry, because these are educated people, these are well traveled people, these are international figures that have worked with different, like, international organizations that really prioritize mental health. But those individuals have chosen not to educate themselves on that. And most of the time, it's like, okay, if I encounter you, like, I've known you in Shira for a very long time. You've never, like, I'm still pretty, I'm still beautiful, but you've never, like, gone over the boundaries of engaging me in a sexual activity. If you're a man and you were capable enough to engage me in a sexual activity, and I have bipolar disorder, you should also have the guts to own up to it when it happens. But when it happens, all these people become cowards, and they make up stories, they make up, like, why, like, if I'm a liar, why has anybody had the guts to sue me?
Well, I guess maybe, from the little I understand of
Yeah.
bipolar, if you're either manic or, so there's mania
Mania, and then
and
depressed.
then depressed,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it kind of makes people feel that they talk to the real Abena Korkor in one breath, and then another time they're talking to the other
I would
Abena
I would
Korkor.
say that the real Abena Korkor is the same. It's me. I'm a rainbow, like, I'm a cocktail. Some people are just red. Some people are just blue. Me, I can have multiple personalities. So it is all me. It's not like it's not the real Abena Korkor. This is the real Abena Korkor. Sometimes Abena Korkor is fearless, blah blah blah. Sometimes she's crazy. Sometimes she's not crazy. It's all of me. So when you come into my life or you're engaging me, you should know this is who you're dealing with, and then you can put measures in place for, like, let's say, when I'm manic, I don't even have to be on drugs. Manic episode is like your neurotransmitters are, like, off the charts. When you take in drugs, like, your dopamine is up, serotonin, all of those things are just combining and reacting in different ways. People that are not, like, that don't have bipolar disorder or mental health conditions, when they take drugs, it's like they get into the crazy realm.
So you naturally, your body
Naturally,
actually takes you
I
on
started
a high.
doing drugs. I started doing drugs. Like, I dated one guy, and it was like, we can't have a sexual activity without drugs. I started drugs when I was 30.
Wow.
30. The first time I ever took, let's say, like, a strong dosage of marijuana in a drink, I was 30. The first time I had ecstasy, I was 30. Like, I was
So,
really matured.
so are these things that, if for the lack of a better expression, an Abena Korkor or the Abena Korkor that's not experiencing either a manic or a depressed phase, would you normally do that?
No, no, no. Like, I was very, very stable. very organized, running my businesses and all of that. But I would, even if I would do it, it wouldn't be in the spotlight. I have always been a sexual being, you know, like people that have dated me. Abena loves sex. Abena loves to wear her lingerie. Abena, loves to express herself. So it's
But
always
again,
been
like you
me.
say, these are things that are within the confines of a private
A
relationship.
private relationship.
Right.
So because like I've realized I can't help myself. I'm monetizing all these things.
Why though?
I sell no. You see, you have to do things that naturally come to you. That is when you become a master of your art. It just comes to you. Like coming for this interview, I didn't do any research, whatever, because it's a daily something that I do. So yeah, so if I'm like I wake up in the morning, I literally every time I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking of sex.
So, like you said earlier, you're a cocktail.
Yeah, I'm a
You
cocktail.
have these moods, and
Yeah,
then you have all of
yeah,
these
and
conditions.
I'm embracing all of it. Like, society like forces you to conform to be something else. But I studied biology. In biology, every organism is unique. And however you were created, there is a niche in the community for you to feel. It's like an ant, an antelope, a lion. Animals are be themselves. But with human beings, somebody who is an elephant, you end up in a community and they go like, try and size down and become a butterfly. That's what happens. Children are not allowed to be themselves. Children are like forced to be put in certain boxes. Me, I've been very, very, very boisterous, um, very adamant to conform to what society wants to put me into. I understand them.
Is
Like
that
my
a result of your natural personality, or
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
like I'm Aquarius. Aquarius, we are adventurous, we are stubborn, and then I'm bipolar too. So it's a combination of the best worlds for me.
what are your triggers?
Sometimes when I hear bad news, when like I lose like a goal, or like a boyfriend dumps me, or I lose a loved one. Like it's the normal things that will make everybody sad. But it's just that in case I'm in a manic episode or I'm in a depressive episode, it will be more extreme than the regular person. So a regular person, loses a loved one, cries for a week. Me sometimes, for I still mourn my late auntie that died in 2009. And like when I have a manic episode, something like one thing will happen and then it will just bring everything back. A string of like I remember one time my I had a relapse, and my boyfriend on campus realized that okay, he's not the only one that I'm dating, because like bipolar makes you a bit of an infomaniac, and you're very flirtatious. So you be there like you're dating like 10 people. You didn't even plan it, but you are dating 10 people, and there's one person in your life that actually loves and cares for you. The other people is more of like a fling, or
And
they
this
are
is
they
because at that point your inhibition is low.
my inhibition is
So
low.
you're taking risk and you're
You're
doing all
taking
sorts.
risk. Sometimes I can go to a bar, pick up someone, sometimes on Tinder, or whatever it is. And like there are people, there was one girl in like UCC. For her, she'll seduce you, you have sex, and then she will say you have raped her.
Wow.
That was her form of bipolar. Right now, she has a child, like the father is irresponsible, and she has HIV. So there are a lot of bipolar patients that are susceptible to STIs. So like almost every 2 months, I'm taking a test. Luckily for me, it's like I always get protection, and before maybe sometimes I have some sex with somebody without we should have been together for a while, or the two of us get tested together. So it's a lot, like most of the things surrounding what really makes bipolar. A lot of the topics around it are taboos. Do you understand? Like a woman cannot own her sexuality in the African community. A woman cannot have multiple partners in the African community. So these are things that when most bipolar patients even go and see their doctors. They do not talk about it. Oh, doctor, my libido is high, blah, 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 blah. Some of them might even pray for you. But this is a medical problem that needs medical attention.
Okay. I mean, it's quite interesting you say it's a medical, I mean,
Yeah,
it is a medical
yeah,
situation, a psychological
yeah,
disorder, and there are psychologists who are trained
yeah,
to
yeah,
work with you on
yeah.
these things. But you'd agree with me that it takes a village to raise a
It
child.
does, it does.
And so there's this phrase that you'll always hear.
Mm-hmm,
In Ghana, they'll say, "Onukpa beshia."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
What sort of support
mm-hmm,
what's the role of your family
mm-hmm.
in helping you manage this condition?
Yeah, my mom like is always trying to remind me of who I truly like, want to be. Like I've always like I want to be an emeritus or whatever, a doctor, and she is still stuck to those goals. But I have evolved over the years because if I try to fight who I am, it's gonna affect me. It's like yes, see, I punch who the who chichi by who now was saying who. So I'm trying to really know myself and use it to my advantage. I did biomedical science. Initially, I wanted to go into gynecology, and then I had an episode. So it was like, okay, I was now steered towards mental health. So I'm like a professional mental health advocate. I've worked with the WHO, the UN, and so many other organizations. I have my own NGO, and then when it comes to the sexual part, like I have a sex. I'm not a sex therapist yet, but I'm drawing to that. I'm going to school for clinical psychology, and then eventually I'll do that. So it's like your life experiences must shape you, and you have to reap the benefits of your life experiences. The stones that are thrown at you, you use them as building blocks. So don't if somebody has been married 7 times and been divorced like all those 7 times, some way or the other, you become an expert on divorce. So you can become a divorce consultant. But sometimes when
So it's
bad
basically using.
yeah, when bad things happen to us, we want to bury them. We want to, shy away from it. But no, in the diaspora or in the international, like nowadays, when it comes to mental health policies, they listen to the mental health patient more because who better than like you go to school, doctors go to school to go and study. You study like 6 years, 8 years, and I have lived over 33 with my
Your
psycho
condition,
self.
yeah.
Yes, I'm an aspect of my mental health. So you can support it, but I'm an aspect of my mental health. So when it comes to the WHO, now our mental health patients are the one that spearhead policies and things that affect us. We actually have there are organizations there is more funding for organizations that are led by people with mental health problems than people that are not. Because if you have never experienced it, you will not be able to understand. You will try, but you will never be able to understand.
In
Not at
terms
all.
of understanding, I mean, are there other people you know who have bipolar? Is there any sort of
Yeah.
a support group that
Yeah,
your
like Psychosocial
psychosocial
Africa
Africa?
has a support group.
Okay.
Yeah, it has a support group. And sometimes Ghanaians go like, I'm not going to bipolar now. Um, most of them too, like sometimes there's one of them, she also has her outburst on social media, but she has less than 1,000 followers. So nobody will know. And for me, what made my own so loud was like my first encounter was with influential people in Ghana, like politicians, lawyers. That is why it was news. That is why it was news. And Ghanaians will always, thrive on negativity. And even if you even want to blow up the story, educate people on the conditions because there are real people that go through it. Like there are young people that I know. There's this guy, he's also bipolar. The father is a very prominent lawyer. He's super intelligent. But there are no resources that help him to really make it in the community. I will applaud this bank, Universal Merchant Bank. I know that they have two employees, the employees that have bipolar disorder, and they actually support them, with their medical. They give them a period to, take care of themselves when they are sick and all that. And also, Media General is doing that for me. I hope there'll be more companies that will do that.
That speaks directly to the theme of
Yeah,
Mental Health Day
yeah,
this year.
yeah,
That it's a human right.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
that whether you have a disorder or not,
Not,
you have the right to
yeah,
live a full
a
life.
full life,
So,
yeah.
in your estimation, over the years and the work that you've done, I mean, what do you think can be done to help people who have, be it bipolar or some other, mental health disorder, so that they can live a fully
Full life,
functional
yeah,
life
yeah.
in society?
So it's more of like we just need space to operate and be. Like when I'm in my manic episode, it's disruptive, but allow me to be disruptive. Allow me. Just it's like maybe put like it's like that I'm in a rocky place. Just put cushions at vantage points for me to like fall on in case I'm about to fall. So allow people to be like sometimes a manic episode. I think there are times that I had like a full year of mania. It was
Wow.
back to back.
Manias can go on that long?
Yeah, and then it's like your medication. The medication will work, but the people around you, if they are not supporting it and they are not understanding, it will not work. So sometimes people go like, Abraham is not taking her medication, blah 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 blah. You people are creating a very stressful environment for me, so my medication will not work because it's a feedback system. My medication will not work. I think like I was in a very narcissistic relationship where I couldn't really express myself. And like a lot of the relationships that I was in, like there was a time where I was battling with inferiority complex. Because for me, I come from a very like proper, like really like disciplined family. We're Methodist, we have Presbyterian training. My mom is a teacher, my father was a teacher by profession. Like, my uncle that brought me up is like a Freemason, a Presbyterian um elder. So we are very
So,
disciplined.
in
We are
terms of the environment
yeah,
that
we are
molded
we are
you,
leaders of the community. I went to Webury Girls. I've been to Legon, UCC. So it's like I'm an epitome of beauty, epitome of excellence, and all of that. And then I wake up one day and I've just stripped naked. I'm talking about my sex life, like not even like you're not even talking about oh it was romantic. You're going as low as talking about the size of the man's manhood and talking about how bad the man is in bed. It's
and
like
these are things that
it's an eyesore. It's like sebi, like someone like Rebecca Kufo, and then she's saying this or maybe flaunting her breaststones. This is someone we look up to. And there were a lot of young girls that I was, motivating. Like, I'm a mentor to a lot of these girls, and then I am doing this. So there was a very long time I was having an inferiority complex. So sebi Jimmy phobia then allow into my space because it was like I didn't see myself deserving of, okay, maybe I can't date like a certain caliber of men again.
in terms of the future, I mean, it's what you describe is quite heavy because I haven't walked a day in your shoes. Um, but unfortunately, we live in a society where people will draw conclusions based on what
Yeah,
they see
yeah.
and hear.
Very quick to draw conclusions.
What sort of we all have our inner circle, right? What sort of support system do you have close to you that are able to understand the mood swings, that are able to see the triggers and say, okay, Abena is about to go into a depressed state or she's about to go into a manic state. And this is what we need to do to help her ease the challenge.
Yeah, so like my family is there. My family are like now they really sort of get it sometimes too they don't. And then, my employers, the last time I was in the hospital, my family and my employers took me to the hospital. I was there for like about a month. So I was detoxed because I was doing a lot of drugs. I was detoxed. Mm, the hospital, like I even have issues with them. It wasn't like a holistic therapy for me, but they are still learning. Sometimes the founders will have a very great vision, but the employers, Ghanaian workers are just not dedicated or passionate about their work. Sometimes they put the blame on you because it's like, I'm what do you call it? I'm promiscuous at that stage. Like I'm wearing things that
Right.
expose
So
me. I'm overly flirtatious, and it is not right because I am the patient,
now that
and
time
both
you have reduced capacity.
and both corporates were workers who should know better.
Mm, 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 mm,
None of
mm.
them were arrested. I'm now like almost stabilized, almost stabilized. Like it was me that I got out of
Yeah.
bed. So I've been up and down from me, like it's just been like, um what do you call it,
Yeah.
going through
Roller
the
coaster.
cycles, yeah. So when I'm fully stable, as for by November, December, day, almost every day I'll be in court because I have a lot of people's access to sue.
Right. This is a matter that's
Yeah,
obviously in
yeah,
court, so
yeah,
we're not going to go in there.
yeah,
Today we're marking
yeah,
World Mental Health Day.
yeah.
As far as your experience and your advocacy through Psychosocial Africa is concerned, what future do you want to see for mental health in Ghana?
So mental health care should be more holistic. Mental health hospitals should not be like prisons. It should not be the last thing on the government's budgets. Sometimes when we go for like, review, annual review of mental health hospitals and all of that, we get less than 1% of the allocated budgets. you know, Ministers are not even, how many ministers can you say that they are championing mental health in Ghana? Apart from maybe the Minister of Gender and Social Protection, nobody does that. But when it comes to sports, entertainment, like unnecessary things, everybody, it's, and like even when it comes to radio stations, media houses, if it's not World Mental Health Day or somebody has not committed suicide, the let me see. I think apart from Professor Angela, it's even because Prof. Angela works here, there wouldn't have been a mental health show. If Prof. Angela was not working here or she's not like an investor in Asaase Radio, there wouldn't have been any mental health show.
Bravanji actually is doing the show because the station saw the need
Yeah,
for it to be
yeah,
done.
and I'm saying it's
And
because she is here. If she wasn't here, they're
but
like
she's not here. She
there's
came here to do the show.
yeah. So there's no proper mental health. Even when we are doing health screening, mental health is not included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in a recent conversation with Dr. Professor Pinamana Powell, there's a lot of work that's being done to mainstream mental health.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
How do
lot
you
of.
feel about the work
Oh,
that's been
I'm
done
I'm
so far?
very very happy. Now, there's a lot of community nurses. There's a lot of disintegration. Almost every government hospital has a psychiatric unit now,
Okay.
a functioning psychiatric unit. We're still like in the process. We have something called the quality rights. I was part of the assessors and and facilitators. We're now like trying to make mental health resources be more humanistic.
Okay.
Like the chaining will be stopping, like the medication that is given by force and all of that. So it's changing. Some people do not want to change, but it's like we're working with everything. There's going to be a lot of resistance, there's going to be a lot of opposition, but we are working. We are really really working. I've not really worked for like 2 years, but I know there's a lot of work going on. Even 12:30 today, the WHO and the UN, I think there's a Zoom meeting, commemorating um,
The day.
the day, talking about things, the human rights, and how far we have come. Yeah, so there's a lot when it comes to like the royal house. I know what's his name, William and the wife. They really champion mental health. They have an organization, our heads together. Oprah Winfrey, Tara GP, Hansen, there's a lot of conversation going. There's a lot of work being done internationally
These
when it
are
comes to mental health.
international
Yeah,
names. Do
yeah.
you think that Ghana should get to the point where influential people
Yeah,
would
there are a
lend a
few
voice?
people I know. I know This gentleman, oh God, he's with GTV right now. He does a morning show.
Okay, Kafu Day.
Kafu Day, like is very vocal when it comes to mental health. Um, okay, let's say Funny Face. Funny Face is not doing so much though, but like we all know that he has bipolar disorder, and the government institutions that have been assigned to do that, so they are not really going out of their
Right.
way.
Okay.
Yeah. So apart from people that are being trained, they are not doing so much. I think when I was in UCC, there was an office set up for something for distressed students. Yeah, and even almost every university has like a counseling unit that should have mental health resources, but they are not functional. A lot of students don't even know. Like me, when I was on campus, like almost every lecturer knows me. I know the dean of students, I know the dean himself, I know the provost, everybody, but I didn't even know like these resources were there.
Available.
Were
Okay.
there.
Right. So, what my take out from this conversation is that there's a lot more
To be done.
need for a proactive education,
Proactive education.
and also train more professionals in the
Train
space
more professionals.
and
And it's not
dedicate
just
more
any kind
money,
of training, like
proper,
proper training. Because,
holistic.
yeah, a lot of people are trained and like sometimes we call something like, sometimes mental health patients get aggressive and we call something de-escalation. Some people, they don't even understand the de-escalation that they are doing. Like
Right.
the human interaction, they don't even know. There was one hospital, they had to inject me 6 times before I could calm down. And it was torture. 4 people holding me down, jabbing needles inside me. Like, just as like they jab you a few seconds, you are not calm, they give you another dose. They give you another dose. And that time I was on my period stopped
So
automatically.
if essentially people need to be giving the right training
The right
so they
training.
can provide support
Yeah.
and maintain a person's dignity
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
process.
yeah.
Well, Abner, it's always
A pleasure.
wonderful
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah. Same here.
And hopefully we would not just be doing this on World Mental Health
Yes,
Day, but
yes. It has to
of
be
course,
more.
Asaase, we can say is the
Yeah.
only media organization in this land that has a dedicated mental health stream called Beautiful Minds, and
Yeah.
it airs every Friday
Yeah.
on our station at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
Kudos on that.
well, we'll try and do more.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we wish you
It's
all the
always
very
a
best.
pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, as we continue to mark World Mental Health Day, it is my hope that you've taken some learnings away from this. It is not a respecter of persons. Be empathetic, seek knowledge, seek help when you have challenges. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back.